Might be fun to go back. I haven't been to this fair in like 40 years, dude.
Yeah.
Oh, whoa, cool.
Except for the big boy or whatever.
All right, we're here.
Nice. Okay, we'll
We're
see you
here.
back around. So the trick.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Union Pacific.
Look at those things. She's like, please go back. Turn it along.
That's so cool.
That is. This was the station. This is like
Oh, yes. Pretty good. My fault. You do in certain parts of the world, not here. Sometimes here, not much. Not in our area. Not in our area. Yeah,
You know, I wish trains still look like this.
me too.
They look like the size of this.
Holy cow, I can't even fit this thing inside of the frame.
We have to step back to look.
This thing is ginormous. It's huge. Look at all the bolts and rivets. How many rivets? Rivet counters. Wow.
The big boy spring garden.
There.
No, I've been there.
Hurry up and read that. Look at these huge heavyweights. So these were converted into horse cars. These cars would bring the horses to the racetracks. So these had horses in them. So down here at the end, so you could see how the whole entire door, the end of the car would open up and fold open. Well, actually not the whole end. There was like the door down the center, but like each side of the car opens up, and so like you can go, I don't know what I'm trying to say. But yeah, basically these open up. Yeah, to load the horses in and out easier, I think, yeah. But yeah, these are something like that. I don't know exactly, but it's something along those lines.
Still wish the big boy was here.
Oh, I know. Just did a tour up north. We missed it. We would have had to cruise about 8 to 12 hours to see it.
I got to be in that thing once.
Oh, that's cool. When it was here?
Yeah, calling off the horn.
Nice. Ooh, we get to go in. The Horse Express car.
You can go in the engine on that first one.
Yeah, we'll see if we can get into a locomotive a little later. Yeah, so here.
You got a toilet.
Nice. Huh. Oh yeah, look at that. In case you gotta go poop.
Did the earthquake crack there? Is that what they're trying to say?
San Fernando Valley, California, February 1971. Yeah, that's what happened. Looks like it snapped these rails. And maybe even bent a few rails. Trees sit on the shore.
No, I think that disease.
Yeah, now I can't say it's made for kids.
Oh, dang it, sorry. Oh, golly.
I'm just joking, dude. Yeah, that was in Wyoming. Let's see here. Is there any big boy Cajon Pass stuff? There's big boy, but
Just big boy stuff.
yeah, I missed it in the past. I'm bummed. Yeah, yeah, the horse cars. If you sniff, you can almost smell the horses. Good boy. Good boy. That guy's doing a good job. And water.
The little ones usually did wood, and then they went to an oil burner, actually. On the East Coast, they usually use coal because that's what they have back there. On the West Coast, because there's not coal out here, they converted them and they turned them into coal. Or, I'm sorry, oil.
Wood
Because
or
there's
oil.
out here, so you're familiar how it works, the concept?
How do they, if they learn about the oil, look at the oil?
So in the tender cars, again, just the tender car here, it's through the pipe here, this holds both water and oil, and the oil gets sprayed into the firebox, which is what you were just looking at there. There's a big fire. On the other side of the wall of the firebox is water, which boils, puts chin steam at the top. The engineer injects the steam into the front cylinders, and that's what makes it go back and forth and moves all the linkages here, which turns everything. Tons and tons of weight, all because of the expansion of steam.
Okay.
Which is...
I didn't know the coast made a difference on what they ran. I thought they all ran on coal or wood or whatever.
You know, in the early days, they were all coal, well, after wood, they went to coal. But out here in California, it was hard to get the coal out here because there wasn't coal out here. Say, we're finding oil about the same time, well, about 50 years after they were getting coal, we were getting oil out here, so they converted them because oil was burning just as well to be able to create the same amount of temperature to boil that water. You know?
I was
used
just
to get that steam to inject on it.
I was just gonna ask what gets better gas mileage.
Yeah, good point. You know, they're both fossil fuels. I would assume coal because it's more condensed, right?
Okay.
So it's probably going to be a better burn because it's solid and it's more, the molecules are closer. I'm just guessing, I'm theorizing. Whereas oil is, you know, in the form of liquid, which is, you know, almost the form of gas. You know, gas would be the least efficient.
So these ones right here, though, didn't need a person shoveling stuff into the burner, right?
No, not this. No, because it would just it would be pushed in by a pump, a steam pump. The fluid would move and it just sprays on in. It's a sprayer.
Got it.
It's called an atomizer that sprays it on out into tiny, you know, molecules that go out like, and then the fire is just from the it's not like it's just dumping oil. Compress the air. And a lot of these tubes are sending compressed air down the line of the train, and so you could stop the whole train equally.
Now we
at the
have
same
brakes,
time,
right.
because braking horsepower without a guy returning the top. There's a lot of accidents when guys were doing that. They were falling off and dying.
I bet.
So once they invented that feature, it just saves a lot of lives. You know?
Yeah,
Crazy
there's.
how unsafe a lot of jobs were back in the
That
day.
was a real one.
I see videos of the guys cruising along the tops of the box cars and turning the wheels, you know, and all that. Man, as they're like going down the Cajon Pass.
Yeah.
So what year is this engine?
So this one here, this is built in 1926. This is a newer one because steam died like in the mid 50s. This only went 25 years. A lot of the steam trains, you know, started in the 1800s, but you can see how big this is. This is considered very modern for a steam train. So this was only in service probably for 25 years. They ran the line between Sacramento and Rio.
It is. Shovel the coal in to the firebox, or in this case, the oil gets sprayed in. Man, look at all that. It's somewhere. It's a whistle. Whistle and a bell. Oh, where's the bell at? I don't see the little string hanging down for the bell.
That's what I'm saying. The bell.
To go bing, bing, bing.
There's nothing.
Could you imagine rolling across the country in this thing, dude? That would be amazing. That would be incredible. Now, let's go down here to one of these bad boys. This guy's talking some really interesting information. It's really cool.
You have steam coming out like your teapot. You put your hand above the steam that's coming out. There's moisture in it, right? So you can use that in your cylinder bay, but if you put that steam into your cylinder bay, you're not going to get 100% power both ways because there's moisture in there. So you can't compress water. I don't care who tells you can. So they superheat the steam to make it dry. So that dry steam goes into the cylinders at that point. Now you're getting 100% power left and right. And there's two. The cylinders there's two. The piston pushes that way and it pushes the cylinder this way, and they're going back, right? And so you're getting 100% dry steam going through that system, and you're maximizing your cylinder push to the drive rods, to the drive wheels,
Right.
to the hip bone.
Right?
But yeah.
So every other motor is contained where you can't see it, but a steam train you can see everything moving.
Right.
You watch the whole motor
Yeah.
right in front of your eyes. It's kind
The
of
cool
cool.
thing
right?
is that there are most all steam locomotives are 2 cylinders. So you ask people what does a steam train sound like when it's running, and they're going to tell you without even knowing. They chick 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 chick. 1 2 3 4. 1 2 3 4. Okay, 2-cylinder locomotive. Okay, the cylinders on the drive rods on the other side are offset. So when the one side starts to go, 1 2, then the other side goes 3 4. 1 2 3 4. 1 2 3 4. Okay, so that's where the 2 chuffs for every 1 cylinder. That's where that. So the steam locomotive industry decided they were thinking about going to a 3-cylinder locomotive because they thought we'll just get that much more power out of it, and it really didn't work, kind of. So they just continued to make the 2 cylinders. Now, I know for sure in North America, maybe in the world, there's only like 5 left on display, 3-cylinder locomotives, and we have 2 of them. This guy here is a 3-cylinder, and the 9000 in the back, still set up for coal, is also a 3-cylinder. So we have 2 of them. Yeah, it's in the middle.
You can see the big cylinder down here, and the same on the other side. There's one actually in the
one
middle.
right in the center. The
Oh.
other's really big. This guy here is it's a 410-2, and the 2, this small section here,
Right.
has actually had an independent motor. So this actually has power. These wheels have power to them.
Wow.
Which is ridiculous. No, there's no other locomotive that has that. So it has its own drive motor to this axle.
Is there? Where's the cylinder? Is there a cylinder back?
I don't know. I know Roger. I was talking to Roger, and I haven't been looking at all the details. I just know that this small wheel axle is powered. It's powered axle. You can power this axle from the cab. This little one.
But it has to. You have to have steam expansion moving the wheels.
Yeah.
Is it weird to see what
There's
that's
somewhere in here.
Somewhere in there?
And then it drives power to the wheel. I don't know how. But engineers were made. Roger told me, so it's got to be true.
It's so crazy what they come up with back then.
Wow.
Well, and you can always tell a freighter from the person transport. So, well, it's not just that, but it's the wheels. So the wheels on this one are like 63 inches. The wheels on that one over there are 78.
Faster,
Okay, so it's
higher gear.
Yeah, higher speed ratio, higher gear ratio, and it's only pulling like 20 cars.
Gotcha.
This guy's pulling
Weight.
100 and whatever cars. So you want that traction power going more
Right.
often and less often.
Yep.
Now the cool fun fact that I think it was Rob that told me that train there, 78-inch high wheels, 2 inches taller than me. And at full tilt, looking at like 80, 90 miles an hour. At full speed, for every rotation of the wheel, one full rotation, at full speed, covers 28 feet of track.
Whoa.
That's a lot of track. That's pretty cool. At full speed, one loop, man, 28 feet.
Wow.
Yeah.
What do you want? It's just passenger. It's just freight.
Yeah. Passenger freight. It's just like the big wheel in the front that was for the I forget the name of it, but that one out there is 80. Yeah. So although normally these ones are like 5 feet, 5.5 feet, it's freight, just like the other 9,000. Similar in size to this one for freight. The third cylinder. It's right here.
Oh yeah.
Now, the other thing about these locomotives back in the day, when you're building these things,
I
they're
wonder if
basically 2 pieces. So the frame itself is a piece, and then the boiler section and the firebox and all that sits down on top of the frame, and there's 2 giant pinholes that they sit inside. So they're 2 separate pieces. So for 2 reasons. One, because if it was one solid piece, this thing would freaking break into pieces in no time. With the type of torque it would be taking on when it's on the track. So having it in 2 pieces is helpful. However, the trains would also be kind of worked on the fly, like the frames would crack or split or whatever. And they don't, it's not like in today's world where they do PM cycles and stuff like that. They just, if it broke, I'm fixing it. If it had 1/2 inch pipe, I've only got 3/4, so I'm going to adapt everything to fit to it. You know, I'm going to weld it on the fly. It's going to get to a certain point where the frame is so bad that you're now going to scrap it and just put a new engine in service, right? So, for example, so if any of you guys have ever done any kind of welding or know about welding, Okay, how many sticks of weld would it take to do that triangle right there?
Oh man.
That's not factory.
No. Wow, look at that.
So the guys that know welding that have been here, and we point out different types of welding, these guys, they're in here like we're holding their feet so they can like look in and around the frame and stuff. And they're just like, holy crap, dude. I mean, how much weld are you gonna do to keep this thing running?
Wow.
Back in the day, it cost you $70,000 for a new one.
Look at that.
Right? So if I can spend, $800 on welding.
All that is welded in.
But some of it you can see is like you would think it would be factory, like all these consistent little beads. But that whole triangle.
I'd love to check it all out. Thank you for your time.
Well, that's what we're trying to get in as much information for people that come on open houses.
Right.
Because once the fair starts,
Oh yeah.
it's more for us. It turns into more of a people watching event.
Yeah. Making sure people aren't hurting things.
Well, normally during the fair, nobody really comes in here with a legit train question. Or if you get a question, the question is, why is it black?
That's got to get old after a while, though.
No, you know what happens?
No.
It's this weekend only in particular because we only have 3 people show up today. So
Oh, wow.
usually when we have only about 2 or 3 people show up, which doesn't usually happen, we open up some of these things and just let because otherwise all we're doing is can you open this? Can you open that? Can you open this? Can you open that?
Right.
And we don't really have time. So this thing runs.
Wow.
So every open house we fire it up usually sometime between 10 and 11, and then we'll run it till about 3 o'clock, and then we shut it down. So
We just
there
missed
was a
it.
steam locomotive here called Big Boy, right?
Uh-huh.
And so Big Boy used to sit basically, this locomotive with tender generally would take up pretty much all 3 of these spots.
Right.
So this guy here is the largest rigid steam locomotive ever built. It's about 92 feet long, and Big Boy's 132 feet.
So rigid meaning it doesn't have the pivoting chassis to get around like
So
the
Big Boy
radius.
pivots in between the set of the drive wheels.
Okay.
So it's a 4-8-8-4. So in between the 2 sets of 8, it's got a rotating pin. Because when you go around a turn on all the turns in the train tracks in the country, after you get to a certain length, you have to articulate or you can't make the turn.
Yeah.
So when it goes around a turn, the frame turns like this and the boiler stays straight. And it goes around the turn, and then as it finishes the turn, it comes back like this.
It's really trippy when you're watching it. When you first notice it, it's like, whoa,
flip.
that's really cool.
Yeah, but so this is the largest rigid you can be
Wow.
before you actually have to articulate it. The other cool part, I think I told you, this is a 3-cylinder, so we have a few left in the world. About 950,000 pounds, and then it's got a coal and water tender behind it. So we're inside, I'm going to talk about the box. Talk about the ash pan. So this is my ash pan. So where I dump the ash from the coal. And then these wheels here, these big red wheels, that's the ash pan handle. So when you're in station, you would turn that ash pan wheel to dump out all the ash. This one and that one. That's why I made an offer to Rob about. So Big Boy, we have a lot of the parts. They refurbish it. They sent us back a lot of the original parts. So they have a.
Oh my. Look at this canvas up here.
Imagine having a standard this thing with that boiling ass fire going on.
I know.
So there's a lot of ingenuity things that they did that were kind of ahead of their time. To kind of explain that. Generally, we already went through the three three main parts of a steam locomotive: firebox, boiler, smoke box. So this is our firebox. If you're really brave, not like me, if you look down way in the very back, you look way in the very back of the firebox wall, it looks like a bunch of holes way back there.
Yep.
Like back
I
that
don't know
way.
if you can see them, probably about 15 to 18 feet back there. Holes. So those are the feeder, what we call the feeder tubes, or the flue tubes. So the firebox is running, however hot, super hot, right? The butterfly door would not be open. This is the foot pedal that activates the firebox door. So if it was pneumatic, it was pneumatic back in the day. So you would step on this and the door would open. Now why you'd ever want that door open is beyond me.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to look through these holes to find out where I need to send coal to. Because
So you can put it
I
where you
need,
want it, huh?
I can try.
Yeah.
Okay. So what happens is behind you is where my water and coal is, right? So that coal back there feeds down to the auger in the floor, and some other smaller locomotives on their in the tender where the coal is, they'll have like a little canopy. So when the coal feeds down, it'll go over the canopy and into the tender. And in this locomotive, I want as much coal as they can possibly crush up and get into my firebox. So I don't have a canopy back there, right? Give me it all.
Yeah.
Okay, so unless so coal's not real heavy, right?
Don't have no weight to it.
So
Looks like it'd be heavy, but it's
they'll break up that into really small pieces.
It weighs about like an ounce.
Maybe. Yeah.
Yeah.
So you can imagine how hard it is to load
Right.
up a bunch of coal. You have to have a huge tender to.
Yeah.
So you load the coal in. It's in the tender, and the floor of the auger cracks it up, breaks it into small pieces, and force feeds it underneath the floorboard onto what we call the coal deck, which is here. This is my coal deck. Okay. So in the coal deck, there's 5 jets on the back side of this wall. Back here. There's 5 jets back there.
Is it okay if I do this?
Oh yeah.
Thank you.
So when the coal gets broken up, it goes onto that coal table right there, and you can see those little grooves that kind of angle the coal. So when I take this stoker jet valve and I turn it all the way up, so now when I release one of these valves, this is right rear, left front, right front, and center. So if I release this one all the way, it's going to shoot coal off into the right rear corner of my firebox. This one goes to the left rear, this one goes to the left front, this one goes to the right front, and center. All hypothetically, but it's pretty good. It's beats me throwing it in there with a shovel, trust me.
For sure.
So once I get the coal in there, we know the life of coal is it's black, it gets red hot, it gets white hot, and it turns to ash. Okay, and once the ash starts to build up in the firebox, over time it's going to cool your fire down, right? I don't want my fire to cool down. I need to keep my PSI at whatever this says. 220 is what it says here. So a minimum 220 PSI. So that's
that gauge is
that's
stuck
my
at
goal.
222.
This is for water.
Oh,
So this is we heat the water before we put it in the boiler. So right, you don't want to put it in ambient. So this is our water gauge, temperature gauge for water. So as the ash builds up, I have to keep an eye on that because I don't want ash in my fire. Okay, so what I get to do, lucky me, is open this door. There's also a trap door on that side. There's 3 keys on here. Okay. So when I put this key on here and I move this back and forth, nothing happens. I always pick the wrong one. It's this one. So when I move this back and forth, you'll see this front left quarter panel lift up.
Oh yeah. Dump the ashes.
So it drops it into the ash pan below. And so you do that on both sides for all 6 of those keys. And you're doing that like every 20 minutes.
oh wow.
Give or take, right? You wonder how you get buff working on the trains?
Heavy?
Yeah.
Oh crap, dude.
Yeah.
That's got some weight to it.
So you're doing that about every 20 minutes or so, give or take.
Oh wow.
on both sides. And then
Oh yeah, that's a good
25
25 pounds. Yeah. That's
So that's
beefy.
what we use to do that. And then once we've done that, we're going to increase the flow of the auger to throw more coal in there to keep it nice and hot.
Right.
Now, the other cool thing they thought about, there's 3 parts of fuel. There's air, there's heat, and there's the product, whatever you're going to burn, right? Those are the 3 main parts. So air is a big piece of it. So how do I get air into my firebox? That's a great question. So there's an air scoop underneath here, okay? So this is my stoker. So if I open this up, this scoops underneath the train like that. So when the train's going, you can feel the air coming up out of here.
Yeah.
I did feel something when you opened it.
So when you're moving, that air's coming up that little scoop and into the
Blows it
firebox,
in.
right?
Okay.
So I also have a rudder here, which I can direct. If I look through here and I see that I want more air going to this side of the fire because it's not hot enough, I can direct the air to which side of the firebox the air is going to go to. Not only can I direct how much air is going to which side of the firebox, but I can also control how much.
Whoa.
Yeah, look at that. Flow.
So, and then this moves back and forth, right, and locks down. Red denotes anything might be hot as hell.
Okay.
So that's generally what the firebox does. So now the firebox is hot, so it's pulling the air through those flue tubes that you saw in the very back of the firebox, circulates the water in the boiler. Boiler again is going to house about 8 to 10,000 gallons of water at all times. And I control that flow of water into the firebox from over here as well. That steam is then generated and then it's pressurized and then it's superheated to make it dry. Okay. Once I have that temperature built up to the 220 psi we need to operate the locomotive, I tell my engineer that the train's ready to go. Right? So the engineer looks at me and says, okay, great, we're ready to go. He'll do a few checks over here. He's got 2 sets of brake systems. He's got one brake handle here, the small one. This is for the locomotive by itself. And this brake handle right here, that's for all the stuff that you're rolling stock that you're pulling behind you. Okay? You can tell by the color of the handles which one you use more often.
Yeah.
So when you're stopping a train, you want to drag it. And the reason why you want to drag it is because you want to keep all the couplings tight. So if you stop it from the front and all that inertial power pushes and those couplings buckle, it'll derail the locomotive. That's bad.
Yeah.
That big handle over there with the spring-loaded thing on it, that's your reversing gear. So basically straight up is neutral, and then forward is forward, and backward is backward. Now, what we were talking about earlier is you don't push it all the way forward, and you don't pull it all the way backward. It's almost like a gear shift, okay? So you push it a little bit forward, and then you take this as your throttle. So once you push that a little bit forward, then you pull your throttle a little bit back, release some of that steam. This steam, this is here connected directly to the steam dome on top of the locomotive outside, which we talked about in front of the sand dome. When you pull that throttle, it releases that steam dome, releases the steam in the steam dome, which is the superheated steam. That goes into the cylinders start to push back and forth. They're connected to the drive rods that are connected to the drive wheels, and we start moving forward. Now, before we do that, you want to make sure people know that you're going to move. And so you'd ring the bell a few times, and then you'd also reach up on top of this green handle and push down. Oh my goodness. Make sure that people know that you're going to move.
Oh yeah, we're gonna do it.
Push down like you mean it.
Oh, okay.
So now we're ready, right? And so now people know you're going to start moving, and then you repeat the process of the reversing gear on the throttle, the reversing gear on throttle. All the while you're looking at me, and we're communicating, and I'm making sure that you've got the pressure that you need to do what you got to do. And it's a lot of hand signals and gestures because you can't hear a lot of stuff that's going on.
I bet.
It's loud, it's hot, but you know what? We had a guy in here a couple of years back that's his great uncle operated the steam locomotives back when they were in service, and he said one of his best partners was a guy that was the biggest a-hole he ever met. And the reason is because they both set that aside, right? When they were off the train, he wouldn't buy him a beer and he wouldn't buy him a beer. They just like went their own ways, but they knew what they were doing. So when you're in here, the engineer and the fireman, you're in love, man, because if something goes wrong, it's not like, oh, we're not going to make it.
Your
if
life
something
depends
goes wrong,
on
this
it.
is going to blow up.
Yeah.
Right? So there's a lot of
Trust.
regardless of what happens outside of this box, when you're in this box, we're good.
Yeah.
Right? And you got to understand that because you find out really quick.
That's a pretty rad brotherhood right there.
Yeah, it's crazy. So
driving around in a bomb.
pretty much.
Pretty much, yeah. That's so cool.
And then all that exhausted steam, like we talked about, goes in the smoke box, not the smokestack. And then I keep an eye. As a fireman, I keep an eye on the smoke because I want to make sure that smoke.
Relevant.
So they're relevant, but I'll tell you when you're driving, just like when you're driving your vehicle, all the important controls when you're driving your vehicle are in front of your face.
Gotcha.
Steering wheel, gear shift, gas pedal, brake, radio. Maybe not a radio anymore, right? Your phone with your music on it, whatever. Air conditioning, which we don't have here, but all the main controls that are important are right in front of your face.
Okay.
All the other stuff that you don't ever think about when you start your car is where are those parts?
You don't even really think about
They're
it.
under the
Under the
hood,
hood.
Yeah,
right?
much,
And all those are like preset things, right? You just, when you start your car, I don't check the oil, I don't check the radiator fluid, unless there's some precondition why you would do that.
Okay.
All these other knobs and whistles that are up here are just that.
So once this thing is dialed in, they
just
don't
set
really
'em.
need to be messed with.
Yep. And if something kind of goes wrong with one thing or the other, you might mess these around a little bit or do something with them, but generally they're the least used parts.
Okay.
There's a lot of them.
Yep. So they did have some check systems in place. So you have obviously water in the back, and since water is probably one of the most important things on the entire train, I need to make sure as a fireman, every time I stop in any station, I'm filling up with water and I'm filling up with coal. I don't care how far we're going. I don't care. It's only 10 miles. Kiss my ass. I'm
Fill me
filling it
up.
up with water and I'm filling it up with coal.
Yep.
I don't care.
Right.
Okay. So if for some reason you're thinking, I don't remember if we filled up with water at the last stop. So you have all these check valves. Okay. So this is your sight valve, your sight flow indicator for water. Okay. So this is the top. So if I open this one up and water shoots out, I'm good. Right? But if it tells me there's water here and I open that one and water shoots out, even better. If I open it and nothing shoots out, just air or steam, If I open this one and it shoots out air and steam, oh, wow, really? And then I do this one and I get more air and steam. I go from really to, what do I have? Okay, this is telling me I'm virtually, out of water?
Close to empty, yeah.
Okay, so what do? See this extra seat? That's your seat after you got done doing the post thing and the dimples. Now your job is, while the train's going 60 miles an hour down the track, climb up that ladder on top of the tender, take the water stick with you, stick it down inside the water tank, and tell me how much water you have. I need to know in 30 seconds.
Dude.
Safe job.
Right? But it's the deal, right? If you come back with good information, you got to come back with the right information, right? The honest information. The stick is dry. Stop the train.
Right.
Why? Because he said the stick is dry. Okay, stop the train. If I go back there and dip the stick in and the whole stick is wet,
You're walking.
you're going back to the dimple job. If you're
Right.
lucky. But that's just that's how important that kind of stuff is. We know that water is all of our lives are in each other's hands because
So
of
if the water runs out, this will blow up.
The water runs out, the boiler will get hot, and there are emergency bleeder valves on top of the boiler, but they're not made to bleed steam fast enough to cool the boiler down.
If it gets bad, this will happen.
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
There's a
yeah.
thing here too. But if you
That's a great
there's emergency bleed valves, but the bleed valves aren't built to relieve enough pressure to cool the boiler down before it blows up. So if it gets to a point where it's overheating like that, slow it down as much as you can or just jump off. 'Cause
Dang.
Right.
You're not, And when these things blow up, it's not like, it'll just like pop a rivet out or something. These things, like one of these
Explode.
blew up, it'll blow the boiler like a quarter mile. I mean, seriously, read it right here. It says something about how far it blew the boiler, but you can see It just completely blew the boiler off the.
Kansas, the head.
Yeah, the guys that were sitting here were dead immediately. Immediately.
Oh yeah.
If you don't die from the impact of the metal that's going to hit you, when this boiler explodes,
Steam burns,
the
the
steam
fire.
steam pressure at 250 psi through a pinhole, cut your finger off. Easy. Just from the amount of pressure. It's crazy.
Yep.
So if you don't die from the impact of the metal hitting you, the steam that's coming off that boiler at pressure, you're not going to want to live.
And then you get third-degree burns.
You're not going to, if you're lucky. Yeah, if you're lucky, you're not going to want to live through that.
Especially back in 1940
Yeah,
something.
they didn't have skin grafting technology like we have now back then, but
And still,
you know what? Just make sure you got water, damn it.
Right. So what happened? Traffic in the pass?
yeah,
Because I got on at the 138 right there and took the dirt road.
all the time.
Well, I was following it like crossed over this one spot, and I don't think you're even supposed to be in this one part because it's just a tiny little pathway alongside the left side of the track. It's not even a road.
No, you're not allowed to be there, but I'd ride.
That
I'd drive
damn
it all the
train
time.
dude was cruising like right next to my truck.
Oh yeah, like
I
a
don't
foot
think
or
we're
two
supposed to
away
be
right
here,
there.
dude.
When you're in that spot that's right along the mountain.
Yeah,
Yep.
that's where we were.
Yep.
I'm like, yeah, this is probably not the.
And there's
right
like
spot.
rebar sticking out of the ground, and you're
It's not a good spot.
No.
But we drove all the way along until we got to where the dirt road is that goes up the hill.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess when I go out to the pass, I drive along in there all the time. I got a couple of videos of me sitting there when the train goes by, and man, when you're that close and you're out there and it's like in the wild, it's wild.
Yeah.
It gets kind of sketchy because anything can happen, you know.
Yep.
Dude, these are so cool. Halfway through his thing in there, it stopped recording, man. I'm so bummed. Oh, dude, what's up? Can we see up in there real fast? Or are they closing it?
Yeah, I was gonna say, you wanna check this out? If it's not closed.
It's closed. Guided tours only.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
That one would be cool. to
but
check
this caboose is rocking. Huh? No,
Nah, we're good. We'll check them out.
See that one? I gotta close this up, sorry. You guys want to see that one?
This one?
You
wanna see it?
me with a good time. I'll lock her right in there.
This thing's all made out of wood.
I know. Whoa.
What the heck? There's a little stove in there.
Yeah. There's where you ride up here in the cupola. You gotta come check this out, guys. Little wood burning stove
Oh,
to keep warm.
these seats up here would be sick.
This is so cool. All right, spot to sit and eat. Place to wash your hands. Get a drink of water. Passengers, sit and do your paperwork. The bunk room.
Uncle Mike, you wanna see the passenger?
Yep. Let's go check out this passenger car, guys.
I was hoping to see this.
These are like the ones that are in Barstow that guy said he was going to take us in to see, but we never got to go in and see. This is awesome. Good things come to those who wait.
I have been waiting for this to open.
Go for it, Mish. So we're getting the special guided tour right now. Go for it, duder.
Sorry, we're full. Come on in, have a seat. Come on in, have a seat.
Is it a kitchen?
Awesome.
Hey, you're stealing all my thunder already. What are you guys doing?
Oh, sorry. Let's get out of here.
Okay, so this here is our favorite steam locomotive, and you're in the firebox right now. I'm kidding. All right. So as you can tell, I'm really shy, and I don't like to have a good time. So, and the museum's closed, so I'm doing this for free. Wait, I do this for free anyway. All right, boom, boom. Enough of the crappy dad jokes. So it's a Pullman car. It's a sleeper car. It was built in the 20s, refurbished in the 30s. All right. The only thing that's been replaced is the carpet, and the reason for that is because you feel the cool air in here, right? So we had condensing units on top of the locomotive, on top of the train car. I'm used to saying locomotive. Top of the train car that would blow cold air into here, but it was glorified air conditioning, if you want to call it that, right? And it wreaked havoc on the floor. The carpet's been replaced to replicate the way it looked when it was back in service. Everything else that's in here, from all the cosmetic fabric stuff, is all original. Okay, so velvet curtains, silk window, pull-down shades, solid crystal chandeliers and sconces. And also the the vent covers are solid brass. So the room that you're in now, back up a second. Mr. Pullman was riding in a car on the East Coast, wasn't comfortable. He started designing his own, coming up with his own ideas and the way he thought it should be. Presented some of these ideas to the railroad, and they told him he was nuts. Go away. So he made went out and made some money and started building some of his cars and still tried to present them. And they're still like, you know what? Not interested. So he was trying to lease his Pullman cars to the locomotives to the railroad industry. They still weren't interested. As the story goes, unfortunately, Mr. Abraham Lincoln lost his life, and there was a funeral for him. Mr. Pullman offered up to transport some of the people on his Pullman cars for the Abraham Lincoln funeral. Those people were not the normal, everyday, run-of-the-mill people like myself. They were people that were important, politicians, so on and so forth. If you want to call a politician important, I didn't say that, but so those people started talking, and people listened, right, like E.F. Hutton. And if you get that, that's so in that whole situation, the Pullman car became kind of a popular thing. The railroads got interested because of that whole situation, and then they became some kind of a attraction on the road, open road. So this room that you're in is basically a dining room, and it's a family room, kind of all in one. So the way you see this table set up in the corner over here for a meal is how the tables would be set up in here during mealtime. Everywhere you see a doorbell on the wall, on either side of the train, there'd be a table. You'd see a table at each one of those doorbells. So during mealtime, when you came on board the train, you'd fill out a card for the food that you would want. So when you came and sat down at your table, your food is ready. They knew who you were. They would bring your food to you and whatnot. If you were still hungry, still thirsty, whatever, you'd push the doorbell. They would come and they would ask what you need, and you tell them, and they would bring it. Okay?
Nice.
So the doorbell system is not just something that was done during mealtime. The doorbell system is used throughout the train at any time, 24 hours a day. Once mealtime was over, the chairs and tables would be pulled out of this room into a storage car behind us, where they had storage for tables and chairs and also for extra food. This room would then turn into like a family room. There'd be some bigger chairs, other chairs, tables, board games, no phones, no TV. You actually have to look people in the face and talk to them and get to know them, where you're from, this and that and the other, right? Scary. For some, and I understand that. So that's how this room would operate. So Mr. Pullman was kind of a different type of person, and the reason I say that is because he understood the fact about social interaction, and that it was sometimes kind of difficult for some people over others, right? Like myself. So what he did is he put these little things inside the cars that people probably didn't really understand what they were there for or why, but it actually helped people interact with others. So if you're on vacation, for example, this box up here, if you're on vacation, do you care what time it is? I don't really care. Do you care what the temperature is outside? When you have air conditioning in here and a heater if you need it? Probably not. Okay. Do you care how fast the train's going? I guess maybe it's kind of a cool thing, but whatever. I don't really care. I'm on vacation. However, each one of those, to me, I call them like an icebreaker, right? If I want to talk to someone, but I really don't know what to say, like, I like chicken. It's like, that's not a good opener, right? I mean, come on. I like chicken. Okay, good. So I can't believe we're going like 68 miles an hour, and man, it's like 68 degrees in here, and it's 98 outside. immediately you've got information for you to talk to someone that you can connect to because of what's happening, right? And it's
Very
a simple, because really, do you really, I don't care.
Simple conversations.
Yeah, just an icebreaker, something easy to, but that's just how he was. So that's how this room would operate in general. Any questions for me about this room? Okay, good. No, really. Any questions or?
No, that's awesome.
Okay, so what we'll do is I'll lead you in. We're gonna pass down the hallway. On the right-hand side, there's a kitchen. There'd be anywhere between 2 and 3 people in there, making meals for 30 people 3 times a day. But there was always somebody available in the kitchen 24 hours a day.
Wow, this
Because-
room would hold 30 people?
During mealtime, it would,
Oh,
and they
wow.
had alternating. Sometimes they would have alternating meals, but you could get 2 to 3 people at a table depending on what it was, and sometimes they would have 2 seatings.
Oh, okay.
So the kitchen, there'd always be somebody in there because of the doorbell system. They always had somebody available in the event somebody hit a doorbell and at 3 o'clock in the morning they wanted a shrimp cocktail, right? I mean, they wouldn't.
It's happened. We've all been to Vegas.
So come on down, you'll pass by the kitchen, and as you go down the hallway, trust me when I tell you the bathroom has 4 sinks, 1 toilet, 1 shower, and a couch.
Look at the puppies on the.
Sometimes you gotta rest after you poop.
That's right. Get a picture of the
Okay.
placards and this stuff.
Railroad China.
California poppies on here. Ooh, look at the menu. I wonder if that would have been a traditional menu to what they would have.
was. Yeah, I'm sure.
What they look at $5.75 for a steak.
25 cents for milk.
Wow. Holy cow! Look at that. His own china, even.
Mm-hmm.
This must be the kitchen.
We came right at the right time, huh? Where we got the little tour, get to walk through. Let him know there's one guy with a camera still. He's trying to hurry up. This is the kitchen inside of the Pullman car.
That is wow.
This is beyond cool. Kind of living a dream right now. I've always wanted to get onto a real train. I've never been on a real train. And so this is kind of a neat treat. It's not moving, but that's okay. This is so rad. Still
Check
get
it
the
out.
experience. Dude. Oh yeah, there is a couch in the bathroom. Oh, sorry, miss. I wasn't trying to rush
This is
you.
really cool.
Yeah, so this is our day room / night room, okay? So during the
That's the bathroom.
how it is during the day. If you wanted a table, you could push the button and the porters would come, they could put a table, you could play cards or whatever. At the bottom of the mirror, you see a doorbell.
Yeah.
At the top of the mirror, you have an elbow vent, which is where the air conditioning would come out. You have your beautiful little solid brass sconces on the wall with the little hooks to hold whatever, I don't know.